Welcome to the Body Science Podcast.
We're taking a deep dive today into some foundational concepts, really essential stuff for anyone looking to understand how their body works, especially, when it comes to making positive changes around diet and habits. Think of this as like building the bedrock of knowledge for your health journey. We're going to start with the absolute basics, how energy functions in your body and what that fundamentally means for your weight.
Exactly. It's so easy to get lost in, the latest trends or quick fixes. But without grasping these core scientific principles, you're often kind of working against your own biology.
Right.
We need to break down the fundamental rules that govern how our bodies manage energy.
Okay, let's unpack this. The very first non-negotiable principle in understanding diet, weight loss, or weight gain is something called energy balance. This isn't just a theory, is it? It's presented here as an absolute law governing body weight change, rooted directly in the first law of thermodynamics.
That's right. The principle of conservation of energy. Energy can't be created or destroyed, only changed in form.
Okay.
And what's fascinating here is how that universal law applies directly to us, to the human body. When we talk about energy in this context, we're primarily talking about calories.
Right, calories.
Yeah. So the law applied to our body's energy state basically says that the change in our internal energy, which we see as changes in our body weight over time, is determined precisely by the difference between the energy we take in
From food and drinks.
Exactly, from food and drinks, and the energy our bodies expend for all its processes.
So even though the human body is, incredibly complex, the fundamental equation for weight change is surprisingly simple, isn't it?
It really is. More energy taken in than energy used equals weight gain.
Simple.
Less energy taken in than energy used equals weight loss. And when energy in equals energy out, well, weight stays stable.
Right, but this raises that big question, doesn't it? If it's that simple, why does managing weight feel so incredibly complex and, frankly, frustrating for so many people in practice?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And this is where using analogies can really help us visualize the principle, even if the underlying biology is, way more intricate. The source uses a couple of helpful ones for beginners.
Okay, like the first one, the body as a bank account.
Exactly. Imagine your body is a bank. The calories you consume from food and drinks, those are like deposits you make into the account.
Okay.
And the calories your body uses up for absolutely everything from just breathing while you sleep to, say, running a marathon, those are like withdrawals.
Makes sense.
So if you consistently deposit more calories than you withdraw, over time, what happens to your bank balance?
It grows.
Right. And in this analogy, that growing balance represents an increase in your body's stored energy, which is primarily body fat, leading to weight gain.
Okay, clear. And the second analogy was the seesaw.
Yeah, think of a seesaw, a teeter-totter. On one side, you pile up all the calories you're taking in through food and drinks. On the other side, you have all the energy your body is expending and burning off. If the calories inside is heavier, that side tips down.
And your weight goes up.
Exactly. If the calories outside is heavier, that side tips down and your weight goes down.
And balanced means stable weight.
Perfectly balanced, the seesaw stays level, weight remains stable.
These analogies really do hammer home the point then, regardless of the specific diet, keto, paleo, vegan, low-fat, whatever's popular right now.
Right.
And regardless of the specific type of exercise you do, this fundamental principle of energy balance is like the underlying scientific reality. It dictates whether your weight changes. Everything else is just strategy within that framework.
Precisely put. And central to really understanding energy balance is getting clear on what calories actually are. The source clarifies the scientific definition first. A calorie, usually written with a lowercase c, fercol, is actually a tiny unit of energy. Technically, it's the energy needed to heat 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius.
Tiny.
Very tiny. But here's where the common confusion comes in, The calories we see on food labels and talk about in nutrition, they're actually a much bigger unit.
Kilocalories.
Kilocalories, exactly. Abbreviated NACAL. 1 kilocalorie is equal to 1,000 of those little scientific calories.
Okay, and 1,000 times bigger.
Right. And to make things even more confusing, on food labels, kilocalories are almost always written with a capital C and just called calories.
So that capital C makes all the difference.
It does. So when you see 100 calories on a snack package, it actually means 100 kilocalories, 100 kilocalories. The source is really clear. 1 Food calorie, capital C, equals 1 kilocalorie equals 1,000 calories, small c. That's the unit we get from food.
Got it. 1 cal, 1 kcal. Good to know.
And the different energy-providing components in our food, the macronutrients, they give us different amounts of this energy per gram. The source gives the standard approximate values, which are super important to remember.
Right, the numbers.
Yeah. Carbohydrates provide about 4 kilocalories per gram.
Okay, 4.
Protein also provides about 4 kilocalories per gram.
Same as carbs.
Fat is much more energy dense. It provides about 9 kilocalories per gram.
Wow, more than double.
Yep. And then there's alcohol. It's not really an essential nutrient, but it does provide energy roughly 7 kilocalories per gram.
So it definitely counts in the balance.
Absolutely. You have to account for calories from alcoholic drinks if you're tracking intake.
Understanding those values, 4 for carbs and protein, 9 for fat, 7 for alcohol, that feels really foundational. It explains why, a small handful of nuts has way more calories than a big bowl of salad leaves.
Exactly. It's the basis for calculating the total calorie content of anything you eat or drink. Right. Now, armed with this core understanding energy balance, what calories are, it's really important to tackle some very common misconceptions. These things circulate widely and can really trip people up when they're starting out.
Oh, yeah, I bet. Let's hit some of those. What about the idea that you can gain weight just by drinking water? Is there any truth there at all?
Scientifically, absolutely not. Not in terms of gaining body fat anyway.
Okay.
The fact here is unambiguous. Pure water contains 0 calories. 0.
Right.
Since true weight gain, meaning an increase in your body fat or even lean tissue, is fundamentally the result of consuming excess energy, excess calories, beyond what your body uses. Water itself just cannot cause this.
So any scale jump after drinking a lot is just water weight.
Precisely. It's temporary. It might be the weight of the water itself still in your system, or maybe some temporary water retention, a bit of edema. But it's fleeting. It's not an increase in your stored energy or body mass in the context of energy balance over time. Weight gain always comes back to consuming more total calories from food and caloric drinks than you expend, sustained over a period.
Okay, that one seems pretty clear cut then. Water, 0 calories.
Yeah.
No fat gain. Got it. How about another really common one? Eating at night automatically makes you gain weight more than eating the same food earlier.
Ah, yes. This one's a bit more nuanced, but the core principle still holds strong.
Okay.
So while there are definitely, psychological factors, maybe digestive comfort issues, potential impacts on sleep quality, things to be mindful of with late night eating.
Right.
The scientific reality, based purely on energy balance, is that when you consume your calories within a 24-hour cycle, is generally less critical for total weight change than the sum total of all the calories consumed throughout that whole day.
Relative to the total burned.
Exactly. Relative to the sum of calories expended, the energy balance equation is still the primary driver.
So why does that myth persist so strongly?
Well, for valid behavioral reasons, really. People often do consume excess calories during late-night eating. Think about it. It's often less structured, maybe mindless snacking in front of the TV.
Comfort food?
Yeah, often calorie-dense comfort foods. And your activity levels are typically winding down or already very low in the evening, so it's just much easier to accidentally go over your total daily energy needs.
Plus, eating right before bed might mess with sleep.
It definitely can. A heavy meal close to bedtime can cause indigestion, heartburn, and interfere with sleep quality. And poor sleep itself has knock-on effects on hormones that regulate appetite and metabolism. But the direct cause of the weight gain, even from late-night eating, is still the caloric surplus, not the time on the clock itself.
So it's more about the what and how much you're eating late at night, rather than just the fact that it's late. Makes sense. Okay, and then there's the classic extreme fad diet idea. I can lose weight by just eating one specific food. The grapefruit diet, the cabbage soup diet.
Yes. The source presents this as a definite and honestly quite a dangerous misconception.
Dangerous.
Yeah. I mean, while restricting your intake to just one single food might drastically slash your total calorie intake simply because it's so limiting and monotonous, you just eat less.
Right, you get bored fast.
Exactly. So you might see some short-term weight loss based purely on that energy deficit.
Right.
But it comes at a really severe cost.
Nutritionally.
Absolutely. These diets are highly likely to lead to significant nutrient deficiencies. Your body needs a whole spectrum of vitamins, minerals, essential fats, fiber, different amino acids from protein.
You can't get all that from just cabbage.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Relying on one food just cannot provide that complete profile. Over time, this could lead to serious health issues, fatigue, hair loss, hormonal problems, weakened immunity, you name it.
And they're hard to stick to, right?
Almost impossible. Psychologically, socially, they're just not sustainable. People inevitably give up very quickly and go back to their old habits. And what usually happens then...
The weight comes back, often more.
Precisely. You get that classic rebound, the yo-yo effect, which we'll definitely talk more about. Sustainable weight loss aligns with energy balance, sure, but it must come from a balanced, varied approach that gives you all the nutrients you need and that you can actually stick with long term. Not severe, unhealthy restriction.
Okay, so while the calories in, calories out equation is the undeniable foundation for weight change, the source is making a really crucial point here. It's hinting that just counting calories isn't the whole story, is it?
Not quite.
It asks if all calories act the same way in the body. Like, are 500 calories of broccoli really treated the same by your system as 500 calories of, I don't know, candy?
Exactly. And the strong implication is, no, they're not treated the same. While the quantity of calories dictates weight change, the quality and source of those calories have very different downstream effects.
Effects on what?
On things like how full you feel, your hormone responses, your nutrient absorption, even your overall health and body composition.
Ah, okay. So this suggests we really need to dig into the calories outside of things and then circle back to this whole food quality issue.
Absolutely. To really get a handle on energy balance, we have to understand the calories outside much better. And that brings us to how your body actually uses energy all day long. The key concepts here are your basal metabolic rate, or BMR, and your total daily energy expenditure, or TDEE.
Okay, basal metabolic rate, BMR. That sounds like the bare minimum energy you need just to keep the lights on, basically.
That's a great way to put it. BMR is the absolute minimum energy your body needs to perform its basic life-sustaining functions when you're completely at rest.
Like lying down, awake, but totally relaxed.
Exactly. Usually measured after a good night's sleep when you haven't eaten for a while and in a comfortable temperature. This energy keeps your heart beating, your lungs breathing, your brain ticking over, your body temperature stable, all the essential background processes.
It's the energy of just being alive, like a car idling, burning fuel even when it's parked.
Precisely. And it's fascinating to see where that baseline energy actually goes. The source points out something that might surprise people.
Oh, what's that?
Well, many people assume muscles must be the biggest energy hogs, even at rest, right? Because muscles do work.
Yeah, that makes intuitive sense.
But actually, per unit of weight, several organs are way more metabolically active at rest. The liver is the top consumer, believe it or not. It accounts for maybe 27–29% of your total BMR.
Wow, the liver.
Yeah. The brain is next, using about 19% of BMR, even though it's relatively small. Skeletal muscle, when it's completely resting, only accounts for about 18% of BMR.
Only 18%. That really challenges that common idea that just gaining a bit of muscle will magically skyrocket your resting metabolism.
It does temper it, yeah. The source clarifies. Adding 1 kilogram, about 2.2 pounds, of muscle tissue adds only around 13 kilocalories per day to your BMR at rest.
Okay, 13 kilocal. Not nothing, but not a massive furnace soaker either.
Right. Now, don't get me wrong, muscle is incredibly important for health, strength, movement, and it absolutely burns way more calories than fat when it's active. But its contribution to your energy burn while you're just sitting there is often a bit overstated.
Good clarification. So what influences this BMR? Some things we can control, some we can't.
Exactly. The source lists the key factors. Age. Generally, BMR tends to decline slowly as we get older.
Why is that?
It's partly due to a natural tendency to lose some muscle mass over time if we're not actively working to keep it, plus hormonal changes and maybe just a slight slowing of cellular processes.
Okay. Age. What else?
Sex. On average, men tend to have higher BMRs than women.
Why? More muscle.
Largely, yes. Typically higher muscle mass, lower body fat percentage, and different hormones like testosterone play a role. Body weight and height. Bigger people generally have higher BMRs. More tissue to maintain, basically. Muscle mass. Lean body mass. As we just discussed, more muscle means a higher BMR because muscle is more metabolically active than fat, even at rest, just maybe not as dramatically higher as sometimes claimed.
Right.
Body temperature. If your temperature goes up, like with a fever, your BMR increases quite a bit, about 13% per degree Celsius rise. Hormones. This is a big one. Thyroid hormones, especially thyroxine, are major regulators of your metabolic rate.
Ah, the thyroid connection.
And other hormones related to appetite and energy storage, like insulin, leptin, ghrelin, also play indirect roles. And then there are other things. Genetics definitely play a part. Long-term severe calorie restriction can actually lower your BMR, that's adaptive thermogenesis kicking in. And states like pregnancy or breastfeeding increase BMR because of the extra energy demands.
Wow, okay. A lot of factors. So calculating your BMR using one of those online calculators, it's just an estimate, right? But a useful starting point.
Absolutely. It's not going to be perfectly precise for every individual, but formulas like Maffin St. Jeor or Harris Benedict give you a really valuable ballpark figure for your baseline energy needs.
Okay, so that's BMR, the baseline. What about TDEE? Total daily energy expenditure.
Right. TDE is the total number of calories your body actually burns over a full 24-hour day. It includes your BMR plus the energy used for digesting food, plus all the energy burned through physical activity.
So TDEE equals BMR plus food digestion energy plus activity energy.
Basically, yeah. The source uses the formula. TDEE equals BMR plus TF plus TA.
T and TA. Let's break those down. TEEC.
TE is the thermic effect of food, sometimes called diet-induced thermogenesis, DIT. It's the energy your body actually spends to digest, absorb, transport, metabolize, and store the nutrients from the food you eat.
Huh. It takes energy to process energy.
It does. It's like a small metabolic cost for eating. TA generally accounts for about 10% of your total daily energy expenditure, maybe up to 15% sometimes.
And does it matter what you eat?
Yes, definitely. This is interesting. Protein is the most thermogenic macronutrient. Your body uses about 20–30% of the calories from protein just to process it.
Wow, 20–30%.
Yeah. Carbohydrates are lower, maybe 5–10%, and fat is the lowest, only around 0–3%.
So that's another reason why protein is often recommended for weight management. You burn more calories just digesting it.
That's part of the reason, yeah. It contributes to the calories outside a bit more than fat or carbs, calorie for calorie.
Okay, interesting. So that's TA. What about TA, thermic effective activity?
Right. TA is all the energy burned through physical movement. And the source smartly splits this into two very important categories, one we usually think of and one we often forget.
Okay.
First is ET, exercise activity thermogenesis. This is the energy burned during planned, structured exercise.
Like going to the gym, running, swimming.
Exactly. Running, lifting weights, classes, sports. The amount burned here varies hugely depending on what you do, how long, how hard, and your body size. For someone very inactive, ET might be tiny. For an athlete, it could be 20–30% or more of their TDEE. For someone hitting the gym moderately 3 times a week, maybe it's closer to 5–10%.
Okay, that makes sense. What's the other part of TA? The forgotten one.
NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis.
NEAT. What's that?
This is the energy burned by all other physical activity that isn't planned exercise. Like standing up, walking around the house or office, taking the stairs, fidgeting, gardening, doing chores, cooking, carrying groceries, walking to the car.
Yeah.
Even just maintaining posture while standing.
Wow, all those little movements add up.
They add up massively. The source emphasizes that NEAT can vary enormously between individuals. We're talking potentially up to a 2,000 kilocal difference per day between someone highly active in their daily life, think a farmer or a mail carrier, and someone very sedentary, like an office worker who drives everywhere and sits most of the day.
2,000 calories difference just from non-exercise activity. That's huge.
It's incredible, isn't it? And this is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
The source highlights that NEAT is often a really accessible and powerful lever for beginners to pull. You don't necessarily need more gym time.
Right.
Small, consistent efforts, choosing stairs over the elevator, standing up more often, taking short walking breaks, parking further away, pacing while on the phone. These things can add up significantly throughout the day. They boost your calories out without requiring a dedicated workout session. It can be a great way to break a plateau or create a bigger deficit.
That's a really empowering idea. Focus on just moving more in general.
Absolutely. And to estimate your total TDEE, the standard approach described is calculate your estimated BMR, then multiply it by an activity factor. This factor tries to capture your typical daily activity level, including both your average NEAT and any EAT you do.
Right, and they gave those multipliers.
Yeah.
Like 1.2 for sedentary, up to 1.9 for extremely active.
Exactly. Those factors are associated with common BMR formulas like Maffin St. Jeor or Harris Benedict. Sedentary, desk job, little exercise. BMR by 1.2, lightly active, exercise 1 to 3 days a week. BMR by 1.375, moderately active, exercise 5 days a week. BMR by 1.55, very active, exercise 6-7 days a week. BMR by 1.725, extra active, heavy physical job or intense daily training. BMR by 1.9.
So while we can't easily change our age or genetics affecting BMR,
Right.
the source is really emphasizing that TF a bit through
Yep.
protein, and especially TEA, both the planned exercise,
Huh.
EAT, and all that other movement, are things we can consciously influence.
Absolutely. We have significant agency over the calories outside of the equation. Understanding your TDE isn't just about getting a number from a calculator. It's about recognizing how your daily choices about movement directly impact your body's energy burn.
Yeah, the source even suggests visualizing it, like a pie chart where BMR is the biggest slice, maybe 60–70%. TEF is that small, consistent 10% slice. And TEA, the activity part, is the variable slice, maybe 20–30%, but could be much bigger or smaller depending on your lifestyle.
That's a good way to picture it. And it prompts you to think, okay, how can I increase my meat slice even without hitting the gym more? What small changes can I make today?
Okay, so we've got the fundamental rule, energy balance, calories in versus out. And we've broken down calories out into BMR, TEF, and TEA, including that important NEAT component. But you mentioned earlier that just hitting the calorie numbers might not be enough. The source brings up food quality, right?
Yes, and this is a really critical point that elevates the whole discussion beyond just simple math. While energy balance dictates weight change, simply hitting your calorie target isn't the whole story for long-term success, health, or even body composition. The quality of those calories matters a lot.
So this gets back to the broccoli versus candy question.
Exactly. This raises the important question. While the total calorie number drives weight gain or loss, the source argues very strongly that not all calories behave identically inside your body. The type of food delivering those calories has profoundly different effects
Different effects and
on crucial things like how full and satisfied you feel after eating that satiety, on how efficiently you absorb essential nutrients, on your hormonal responses, things like insulin, ghrelin, leptin, which regulate hunger and fat storage, on your gut health, and ultimately on your body composition, that critical ratio of muscle to fat.
wow, okay. They mentioned a study where people ate the same calories but had different results depending on the food type.
Yes, studies like that suggest that people consuming the exact same number of calories daily can see significantly different changes in their weight, and especially things like waist circumference or body fat percentage, depending on whether those calories come mainly from whole, unprocessed foods versus heavily processed or fast foods.
That's pretty compelling. It really suggests the type of food, how natural or processed it is, interacts with our biology in complex ways.
It absolutely does. The source strongly suggests that focusing on largely unprocessed natural foods is a cornerstone, maybe the cornerstone of healthy, sustainable eating, even when you're managing calories.
So how do we define that? What's the key concept here?
A really key concept is nutrient density. Nutrient-dense foods are those that pack a lot of punch nutritionally for the calories they contain.
Lots of vitamins, minerals, fiber.
Exactly. Vitamins, minerals, fiber, beneficial compounds like antioxidants, and phytonutrients, all relative to the calorie count. Think fresh vegetables, fruits, whole grains, lean proteins like chicken, fish, beans, lentils, also nuts and seeds in moderation.
And why is nutrient density so important, especially if you're trying to lose weight?
Well, when you're in a calorie deficit, you're eating less overall. So it's crucial that the food you do eat provides all the essential micronutrients your body needs to function optimally. Nutrient-dense foods help you do that. Plus, their fiber and protein content typically helps you feel fuller and more satisfied, making it easier to stick to your calorie goal without feeling constantly deprived or hungry.
Makes sense. Get more bang for your calorie buck, nutritionally speaking.
Exactly. And the flip side of that is empty calories.
Ah, yes. Heard that term.
Empty calories come from foods that are high in calories but offer very little in terms of essential nutrients. Think sugary drinks, candy, many refined baked goods, ultra-processed snacks. They give you energy, sure, but not much else your body needs.
And the problem with those?
The source states they provide only temporary satisfaction, often lead to a quick return of hunger because they lack fiber and protein, and over time contribute to nutrient imbalances. They can make it much harder to achieve and maintain a healthy diet and weight.
Okay. So how do we tell the difference easily, especially with packaged foods. The source mentioned a system, Novier.
Yes, the Novier food classification system is helpful. It categorizes foods based on their degree of industrial processing, and it specifically highlights the category of ultra-processed foods, or UPFs.
Ultra-processed, what are the telltale signs? How could you spot a UPF?
The source gives some really practical tips. Look at the ingredients list. Is it super long? Does it contain a lot of things you don't recognize as food, like chemical names, additives, emulsifiers, artificial flavors, weird thickeners, preservatives you wouldn't use in your own kitchen?
Red flags.
Big red flags. Also, look for foods unusually high in added sugars, unhealthy fats like trans fats or lots of refined oils, or excessive salt. Foods with an unnaturally long shelf life, or things that have clearly been heavily engineered and transformed far from their original state. Those are often UPFs.
Okay, that's useful. Think.
Yeah.
Long, weird ingredient list. Probably UPF.
That's a good rule of thumb. And this is where it gets really interesting. The source details how these natural whole foods and UPFs have profoundly different effects inside the body, effects that go way beyond just their calorie and basic nutrient content.
Different physiological effects, like what's it?
Okay, let's dive into some of the key differences described. First, nutrient density and absorption. Natural foods are like complex packages, delivering nutrients in forms the body recognizes and uses well. UPFs, often stripped of nutrients during processing. They might be fortified with synthetic vitamins, but these might not be absorbed or used as effectively, so mostly empty calories.
Right.
Second, satiety and appetite regulation. Natural foods, especially those high in fiber and protein, digest slower. They promote lasting fullness, helping control appetite. UPFs, typically low fiber, digest fast, and they're often engineered to be hyperpalatable.
Hyperpalatable meaning?
Meaning their specific combination of sugar, fat, salt, and texture is designed to be intensely rewarding, overriding your natural I'm full signals. It makes it incredibly easy to eat way more than you need without feeling truly satisfied.
That makes sense why it's easy to polish off a whole bag of chips.
Exactly. Third, blood sugar response. Natural, complex carbs break down slowly, giving you stable blood sugar and energy. UPFs, often loaded with refined carbs and sugar. They cause a rapid blood sugar spike.
Followed by a crash.
Precisely. Big insulin release, then a blood sugar crash. That leaves you feeling tired, foggy, and craving more sugar or refined carbs. It's that classic blood sugar roller coaster.
Okay, what else?
Fourth, and this is huge, systemic body responses. Frequent UPF consumption is strongly linked to chronic low-grade inflammation throughout the body.
Inflammation from food.
Yes. They also negatively impact your gut microbiome, the trillions of bacteria living in your gut that are crucial for digestion, immunity, even mood. This combo of chronic inflammation and messed up gut bacteria contributes significantly to developing insulin resistance.
And insulin resistance is bad news.
Very bad news. Over time, this whole cascade inflammation, gut issues, insulin resistance, hormone disruption is powerfully linked to a higher risk of major health problems. Obesity, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, fatty liver disease, even some cancers and mental health issues like depression and anxiety.
Wow, it's a serious list.
It is, and the source specifically notes that diets high in UPFs seem to actively promote fat storage while potentially hindering muscle building, leading to a worse body composition, more fat, less muscle, even if calorie intake is technically the same as a whole foods diet.
Okay, that really drives home the quality matters point. It's not just about the number.
Absolutely not.
All right, shifting gears a bit now. The source emphasizes that this whole process, changing diet, managing weight, it's not just about the science of food and energy. It's a long game, right? A marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly. Successful change and maintenance require understanding the psychology involved and focusing on building sustainable habits that actually last.
And here's where it gets really interesting again, because our bodies don't always cooperate, do they?
Yeah.
They have these built-in defense mechanisms.
They absolutely do. Our bodies are designed for survival, and they resist change, especially weight loss. This brings us to the concepts of homeostasis and the set point theory.
Homeostasis, maintaining stability.
Right. The body loves stability. And the set point theory suggests our brain and body have a sort of preferred weight range, a set point, that they actively try to defend.
Like a thermostat setting for weight.
Kind of, yeah. This set point is influenced by genetics, your history, long-term habits. It's the weight range your body considers normal for you. So when you significantly cut calories and start losing weight, especially rapidly, your body can perceive this as a threat, like a famine is starting.
And it fights back.
It fights back hard. To defend that set point, it triggers responses to get you back to that weight, primarily by cranking up hunger signals.
Making you think about food constantly.
Yes, and making you feel intensely hungry. And simultaneously, it reduces your energy expenditure. It makes you more metabolically efficient so you burn fewer calories doing the same things. It's a biological defense system.
And changing that set point takes time.
A long time. The source suggests it might take at least 6 months, maybe even longer, of consistently maintaining a lower weight for the body to potentially start accepting that new lower range as its new normal. It doesn't happen overnight.
That explains so much of the struggle. And related to that defense is metabolic adaptation, right? Or adaptive thermogenesis.
Yes, that's a key mechanism in this defense. When you reduce calories or lose weight, your body adapts by becoming more efficient. Your metabolic rate slows down more than you'd expect just from having less body mass.
So you burn fewer calories than predicted.
Exactly. Your BMR might drop more significantly, and you might burn less energy during activity too. Your body literally goes into an energy-saving mode to conserve resources. This adaptation is a major reason why weight loss often slows down or hits that frustrating plateau.
And hormones are driving a lot of this.
Huge drivers. Key hormones shift dramatically. The source highlights 2 big ones. Leptin, often called the satiety hormone. It's made by fat cells and tells your brain how much energy you have stored. When you lose fat, leptin levels drop.
And low leptin means?
Low leptin signals low energy stores to the brain. This increases appetite, promotes cravings, especially for high-calorie foods, and contributes to that metabolic slowdown. It's a powerful signal to eat more and burn less.
Okay. And the other one, ghrelin.
Ghrelin, the hunger hormone. Made mainly in the stomach, it signals your brain when it's time to eat. When you restrict calories, ghrelin levels typically surge.
Making you feel ravenous.
Yes, intensely hungry, often and persistently. Dieting basically turns up the volume on your ghrelin signal, making hunger much harder to ignore.
Wow. These defense mechanisms, great for surviving ancient famines, but they make losing weight today incredibly challenging.
They really do, and they
Right.
perfectly explain why 2 of the most common hurdles people face are the diet plateau and the dreaded yo-yo effect.
The plateau. When weight loss just stops even though you feel like you're doing everything right.
Exactly. The source confirms it's usually not that you've suddenly failed. It's often a natural consequence of those defenses kicking in. Homeostasis pushing back, metabolic adaptation slowing your burn rate, maybe some muscle loss if protein intake or resistance training wasn't adequate. Sometimes small unconscious slips, slightly bigger portions, a little less neat can contribute too.
And the yo-yo effect. Losing weight, then gaining it all back, maybe even more.
That painful cycle. The source links it directly to that strong biological backlash, especially after very restrictive diets. The metabolic slowdown, the hormonal shifts driving hunger, they create intense pressure to eat more and conserve energy.
Plus muscle loss makes it worse.
Definitely.
Mhm.
If you lose muscle, your long-term resting metabolism is lower. And then, crucially, people often return to the unsustainable habits that caused the weight gain initially. Combine that with the psychological effects of deprivation leading to rebound eating, it almost guarantees weight regain, and the cycle can get worse each time.
Ugh. Okay, so how do we work with our biology, not just fight it constantly? How do we manage plateaus and try to avoid that yo-yo trap?
The source offers proactive strategies. First, self-assessment when you hit a plateau. Honestly check, has my consistency slipped? Am I tracking accurately? Is stress high? Is sleep bad? Sometimes small adjustments are needed.
And specific tactics. It mentioned diet breaks and refeed days.
Yes, these are strategies designed to consciously counteract some of those negative adaptations. Let's talk refeed days first.
Okay, refeeds. What are they?
These are planned, intentional days, usually 1 to 3 days, where you significantly increase your carbohydrate intake, bringing your total calories up to around your estimated maintenance level, maybe slightly above.
Not a random cheat day.
Definitely not. The source emphasizes it's strategic and controlled, primarily focused on increasing carbs, not just a free-for-all with pizza and ice cream.
What's the goal? Why do it?
There are a few potential benefits. Boosting carbs and calories might temporarily raise leptin levels, potentially signaling to the brain to ease off the famine response and metabolic slowdown. Replenishing muscle glycogen stores can improve workout performance and muscle fullness. And maybe most importantly, it provides significant psychological relief from constant dieting.
A mental break.
A huge mental break, which can dramatically improve your ability to stick with the diet long term. The source suggests beginners might try a strategic refeed day, maybe once a week or every couple of weeks, focusing on good carb sources but keeping calories near maintenance.
Okay. And diet breaks are just longer versions.
Essentially, yes. Diet breaks are more extended periods, maybe 1, 2 weeks or even longer, where you deliberately bring your calories back up to your estimated maintenance level.
A full pause from dieting.
Exactly. It provides a more substantial physical and mental break from the stress of being in a deficit. The idea is these longer breaks can help further mitigate those long-term metabolic adaptations, reduce diet fatigue, prevent burnout, and ultimately increase your chances of sticking with the whole process for the months or years needed for sustainable change.
That makes a lot of sense. Giving your body and mind a planned rest. Beyond those tactics, setting realistic goals seems absolutely fundamental too.
Oh, completely fundamental. The source strongly advises against extreme targets. Don't aim to lose, say, 10 kilos in a month. Don't try to achieve the exact body of a specific celebrity or fitness model. Those standards are often unhealthy, unattainable, or achieved through unsustainable means.
So what is realistic?
Start with a goal of maybe losing 5–10% of your current body weight. Even that amount often brings significant health benefits. And aim for a sustainable rate of loss. About 0.5 to 1 kilogram or 1 to 2 pounds per week is generally considered healthy and achievable long term.
Going faster usually backfires.
Often, yes. Trying to lose weight much faster usually triggers those harsh metabolic adaptations, leads to more muscle loss, and makes the yo-yo effect far more likely because the biological pushback is just so intense.
It's also key to have both the big picture goal and the small steps, right? Long-term and short-term.
Absolutely vital. Your long-term goal might be lose 15 kilos over the next year or get my blood pressure into the healthy range. But the short-term goals are the concrete actions you'll take this week or today.
Like exercise 4 times this week or eat veggies with every meal today.
Exactly. Things like walk for 40 minutes 4 times this week, pack a healthy lunch instead of buying takeout, drink 2 liters of water daily. Achieving these small, manageable steps builds momentum, provides regular positive feedback, and keeps you moving forward.
And the source mentioned using the SMART framework for these goals.
Yes, the SMART framework is a great tool to make your goals more effective and trackable. It helps ensure they're well-defined.
SMART. Let's see, S is for specific.
Right. Clear and precise. Not eat better, but include 2 servings of vegetables with dinner.
M for measurable.
You need to be able to track it. Not exercise more, but walk for 30 minutes 5 days this week.
A for attainable or achievable.
Realistic for you, given your current situation. Challenging, but possible.
R for relevant or realistic.
Meaningful to you, aligns with your overall health goals, and fits into your life.
And T for time-bound.
Set a deadline. Not lose weight eventually, but lose 2 kilograms by the end of next month. Using SMART goals makes your plan much more concrete and actionable.
And importantly, focusing on goals that aren't just about the number on the scale.
Yes, this is so important for motivation. The scale fluctuates daily for reasons unrelated to fat loss, water, hormones, glycogen.
It can be really demotivating if that's your only measure.
Exactly. Celebrating other improvements helps keep you going, especially during plateaus.
What kind of non-weight goals?
Things like noticing you have more energy during the day, sleeping better, having better digestion, seeing improvements in your workouts, lifting heavier, running longer, getting better reports from your doctor on blood pressure or cholesterol, or simply hitting your habit goals consistently, like, I successfully ate 5+ servings of veggies every day this week.
Those are real, tangible signs of improving health.
Absolutely. They show your body is getting healthier regardless of what the scale says today.
Okay, but staying motivated over the long haul, that can be tough. What strategies help?
The source offers several psychological tools. One is positive self-talk.
Talking kindly to yourself.
Consciously, yes. Replacing those negative self-critical thoughts, I blew it, I'll never lose weight, with encouraging, supportive, and realistic internal dialogue. Like, okay, that meal wasn't planned, but it's one moment. I'm back on track now. I'm learning and making progress overall.
Being your own cheerleader, not your own critic.
Exactly. Another key factor is building self-efficacy. That's your belief in your own ability to succeed.
How do you build that?
By achieving those small, realistic, SMART goals. Every time you set a goal and hit it, no matter how small, you prove to yourself that you can do it. Those small wins build confidence layer by layer.
Which leads right into celebrating those small wins.
Yes. And importantly, using non-food rewards.
Right. Don't reward healthy eating with unhealthy eating.
Precisely. Reward yourself with something else. You enjoy a new book, a relaxing bath, time for a hobby, calling a friend. Create positive associations with the progress itself.
And finding support.
Crucial for many people. Connecting with others on a similar path, friends, family, online groups, maybe a formal support program, provides encouragement, accountability, shared ideas, and reminds you you're not alone in the ups and downs.
Okay. Now, the source included a really strong warning, didn't it? About copying celebrity diets.
Yes, a very important warning. Given how much we're bombarded with images of celebrity bodies and transformations, it's critical to understand this.
These diets are often extreme.
Frequently extreme, unsustainable, and potentially dangerous, especially those used for rapid results before a movie role, a comeback, a photo shoot.
What kind of extreme things?
We're talking severely low calorie intakes, sometimes just a few hundred calories a day, maybe focusing on only one or two foods, often combined with excessive, punishing amounts of exercise, sometimes relying on dodgy supplements.
And the health risks are serious.
Significant risks. Severe restriction can quickly lead to nutrient deficiencies, anemia, hair loss, hormone disruption like losing your period, loss of bone density, increasing fracture risk later, a weakened immune system.
Plus, it hurts your metabolism long term.
Yes, these methods accelerate muscle loss, which, as we know, lowers your BMR, making future weight maintenance even harder.
And the mental health side.
Critically important. The source emphasizes that this extreme restriction and obsessive focus on food and body poses a very high risk of triggering or worsening eating disorders like anorexia or bulimia. The pressure, the deprivation, the comparison, it can also fuel depression and anxiety.
So, bottom line, these crash diets are never the answer for sustainable health.
Absolutely not. They're inherently unsustainable. As soon as they stop, that biological backlash kicks in hard, leading to rapid regain, often worse than before that severe yo-yo effect. The source is blunt. Pursuing celebrity bodies without professional guidance is unrealistic and potentially harmful. Setting those unattainable benchmarks damages self-esteem. Healthy change is about improving your health of where you are, not comparing yourself to an often artificial ideal.
Okay, so wrapping this all together, successful long-term change isn't about a temporary diet at all, is it?
Not really. The source frames it as a fundamental, ongoing lifestyle shift. It's about building consistent, sustainable practices that become part of who you are.
Things
Like incorporating balanced nutrition, focusing on those natural, nutrient-dense foods and amounts right for you. Engaging in regular physical activity you actually enjoy. Mixing planned exercise, EAT, with boosting daily movement. Prioritizing enough quality sleep, aiming for 7-8 hours as it's vital for hormones and recovery, and finding healthy ways to manage stress because chronic stress messes with everything.
It's about reframing the whole idea, not punishment, but self-care.
Exactly. Reframing it from a painful task of deprivation to a positive journey of self-discovery, self-respect, and caring for your body. Finding your pace, your enjoyable methods, rather than blindly following trends that don't fit your life.
And success isn't just the scale number.
Definitely not. The source concludes by reinforcing that. True success is also measured by the positive changes you feel. More energy, better sleep, smoother digestion, increased physical capability, improved health markers from your doctor, and a healthier, more positive mental state.
Viewing it as a process of understanding and nourishing yourself.
That's the core message. It's a journey built on small, consistent actions, fueled by a positive outlook and perseverance. Your healthy transformation really begins when you start applying this knowledge and take those first deliberate steps.